Good morning, San Diego. I'm Ron Burgundy.
And I'm Veronica Corningstone.
We're reporting you live from Foundations of Leadership News. And today we'll be interviewing Jim DeSanza. Hello, Jim.
Hello.
We'll be interviewing Jim on the international briefing of Taiwan and Southeast Idaho. So, Jim, you recently attended a delegation of Idaho business to Taiwan. Please tell us how your introductions in Taiwan went.
Yes, Ron, yes, I did. I represented the Idaho Potato Commission, and an old coot like me had a lot to learn about Taiwanese communications. First of all, introductions are made by a third party. I had to take care not to introduce myself directly to Taiwanese business representatives. I had to wait for the host of the meeting to introduce us. Also, in Taiwan, their last name is written first, and like a dumbass, I mixed that up a few times.
Don't we all? Jim, I believe exchanging gifts is traditional in Taiwanese culture. What did you offer to your Taiwanese hosts?
Well, Ron, you are correct. Gift exchanges occur as a sign of respect and friendship. Gift exchanges occur as a sign of respect and friendship. I brought my gift beautifully wrapped in red and gold because what is on the outside is as important as what's on the inside in Taiwan. My gift was 4 pounds of fresh Burbank potatoes from the Rexburg bench. Unfortunately, 4 represents death in Taiwanese culture. Dumbass, once again. I had to push back my gift giving until I could add 2 pounds of Idaho dehydrated mashed potatoes. This made my gift a package of 6 items, and 6 represents the natural elements in Taiwan. Whew, I was almost a persona non grata. Do you know what that is, Ron? That's Latin. And I have to use Latin once a day, or you know what happens? I'm melting.
Thank you, Jim. Don't know much Latin. No more now. Wow, Jim. It sounds like you adapted quickly to Taiwanese communication culture. How do other Idaho businesses learn about Taiwanese communications?
Ron, yes, it is a learning curve. And I say carpe diem, carpe diem. Again, Ron, more Latin for you.
Thank you.
It means seize the day. If I don't use it, I'm melting. So yes, the Idaho Department of Commerce has a special international department, and Mr. Yen is our East Asia representative. Mr. Yen organizes these delegation trips. He instructs our Idaho businesses how best to adapt to the Taiwanese culture. Mr. Yen also instructs the Taiwanese how to communicate best with us in America, such as only ask once for a better price. The Taiwanese like to haggle. This particular 2017 delegation was led by our chairman of the Idaho House of Representatives. It is important to bring high-ranking officials from Idaho to Taiwan to build those relationships. Idaho food and agriculture exports to Taiwan grew 20% in 2016, up to $1.4 million. And our semiconductors and industrial equipment jumped 23% to $615 million. The delegation took representatives from 21 Idaho companies in an attempt and a concerted effort to build our international relationships and learn more about our communication differences.
Wow. Thank you for your time today, Jim. We learned a lot about Taiwanese communication culture and how Idaho businesses have admitted and a little Latin.
All right, folks, thanks for listening. I gotta go jump on a Zamboni now.
Welcome back, Dr. DeSanza.
Oh, please call me Jim.
All right, Jim, thank you so much for sharing the insight about your experience that you encountered at the delegation in Taiwan. I heard you were able to find some communication differences and similarities as well, comparing back to local businesses in Idaho. Tell me a little about what the kind of thing you experienced back there, culture-wise.
Yeah, of course. First off, pay no attention to the paper I'm holding in my hand. When you become an old coot like me, you don't remember everything you have to say, and I just want to make sure I get all the information across to you. Okay, good. Moving on. The culture in Taiwan is most definitely a high context culture. Traditionally, they pay a lot of attention to context surrounding spoken words. Each message that is given has a great amount of meaning. Taiwanese people tend to avoid answering directly and will use silence, nonverbal cues to answer implicitly, as I learned. I'm an idiot, I know. It was most definitely different than Idaho's low context culture, where we put more emphasis on written or spoken words. Communication is very explicit and clear, and normally what is meant is what is said in American culture.
Wow, how interesting. I imagine you had to do some research prior to traveling to Taiwan, just to learn about things to adapt to their ways of communication. Did you have anyone on the inside that helped?
Actually, I have a friend that's part of the Idaho Department of Commerce that works for the International Trade Office Services. Mr. Yin, great guy. He really helped me understand the way things work over there, share some of the same views as I do, such as believing in this next generation that's coming up. He has 2 young children and believes that the next generation will change everything. And I mean everything. This next generation means everything.
Wow, it is so nice to see an older generation that supports the younger generation. Moving back to a few more questions about your experience in Taiwan, does the concept of face really play an essential part in Taiwanese culture?
Of course it does, of course. With Taiwan being a high context culture, it correlates with face 100%. Taiwan companies and people in general still adopt a collectivist culture in how they present their face. A significant difference when it comes to the concept face in business world is that they think of their family and the company's face when making a decision, unlike the Western culture where it's all about themselves. Am I boring you yet?
Of course not.
Very good. Okay, like I was saying, to sum up the question of concept of face, the Taiwanese communication is critical, and it is vital to know how to interact while communicating. They are very serious about saving face, losing face, maintaining face. For instance, an American subordinate attending a meeting where his boss is presenting would generally think nothing of raising a question, making an alternative suggestion, or even disagreeing in front of others. However, in Taiwan, this would be a very serious face-losing situation for the subordinate boss and even the company.
Wow, I mean, it's hard to see an unfamiliar perspective since the only thing we know here is Western culture. One last question for you, Jim. While you were at the delegation in Taiwan, did you see how this area of the world is affecting our business and how this group is adapting to change because of that influence?
I would say that it's important for there to be a development of relationships between Taiwanese people and American businessmen. It is important to both Americans and Taiwanese to build a relationship with their communication styles and to work cohesively. The communication and the adaptation is clearly there because as of 2016, Idaho is Taiwan's 3rd largest export destination, costing $637 million.
That is incredible, Jim. It seems that Idaho and Taiwan have figured out how to adapt and change due to influences with communication and become successful in the business world with each other. Thank you so much for coming in today. We will definitely see you soon.
Yeah, thank you, Veronica. Thanks, Ron. Thank you, folks, for tuning in, and enough time for the old coot to send some information out to you.
So, Jim.
You can call me Jim K. Brown Cave.
Jim, Brown Cave man. You were researching the topic of interactions within the Taiwanese culture, family roles and family role systems, comparing Taiwanese roles and systems to our own. Could you tell me what the gender roles are in the Taiwanese culture?
So folks, it's interesting. Equity is incorporated in the universal educational system and the country's democratic political system. And much of their society is shaped by patriarchal values. With this embodiment of equity comes much of the same struggles that our women in the United States deal with to this day. There are still general expectations for women to stay at home and take care of the children while the men go out and earn the money. Women are employed in lower paying jobs in general, but this disparity is changing. There has been a recent surge of females holding political positions and starting up and running their own businesses, actually.
Very interesting. Since gender roles are just about equivalent to how it is in the United States, is there any difference in these roles and interactions with people?
So there is many similarities and there's a lot of differences. There is a gap in what is deemed appropriate in physical interaction between European cultures, American cultures, compared to Taiwanese cultures. The Taiwanese culture is a little more conservative when it comes to public interactions. While you see American and European people hug and kiss on the cheek, The Taiwanese see this as very, very intimate. A high five is about as far as you can take any physical interaction that they would deem appropriate.
I would not do one in Taiwan. If I were to conduct business with the Taiwanese client, is there anything that I should avoid and anything that I should do?
So in a general scenario, not knowing the beliefs of the people you are interacting with, never refer to Taiwan as China. That could come off as very, very offensive. Avoid criticism towards anything that could be taken personally. Steer away from questions with a solid yes or no answer. They use ambiguous speech and understatements to convey their messages. This is particularly evident when discussing negative topics and topics that may cause embarrassment. Instead, ask open-ended questions that give your Taiwanese counterpart space to move around and be able to describe exactly what's on their mind without a set yes or no.
Thank you, Jim Brown, Kate Brown.
Thank you so much. And before I go, please, it's in the Amazon store, it's in all the stores you can find, Barnes & Noble, Business and Professional Communication, Plans, Processes, and Performance. My name's right here, go pick it up. It's a great read. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Hello, Jim. How are you today?
Hello, Ron. I'm good.
What do you represent for this presentation?
I represent the individualism and collectivism for Taiwan.
Great question, Brown. Is Taiwan an individualistic or collectivist culture, and how is it compared to the U.S.?
Well, Ron, Taiwan is a collectivistic culture. In the Taiwanese, or the East Asian cultures in general, they emphasize family and work group goals above individual needs or desires. Apart from the U.S. and much of the westernized cultures that are individualistic, the social structure in East Asia reinforces collective tendencies. This is because in societies like these, they were based on agricultural economies in which cooperation was crucial. Taiwan is one of the most rapidly growing economies in East Asia. It is now very Americanized, so despite the rise of individualism from the U.S. influence, indigenous collectivistic values survive and coexist with modernity.
So how does this affect the workplace and business of Taiwan?
Well, Veronica, the transformation of Taiwan into an industrial society has taken shape in the past 30 years within the country. The industrialization has not only brought its industries, obviously, but also the individualistic culture of business along with it. There has been an extraordinary adaptation of the requirements of work and modern technology to specific elements of the culture. This has produced a blend of traditional roots and modern techniques, so it is expected that Taiwanese managers may show work values and orientations that are in tune with collectivistic tendencies and traditional values, like working together as a group more so than individually.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Jim, and letting us know more about how people communicate in the business world in Taiwan. It was very interesting to hear about how it compares with business here in Idaho. So, this is Ronnie,
Ron.
and we're signing off for the Foundations of Leadership News.
You stay classy, San Diego. So, Jim.
You can call me Jim Cave Brown Cave.
Jim Cave Brown, Jim, man.
Close enough.
Okay. Jim Cave Brown, Caveman. You were researching the topic of interactions within the Taiwanese culture. Family roles and family roles systems, comparing Taiwanese roles and systems to our own.
Hunter, it's so funny. Right, welcome back, Dr. DeSandra.
Oh, please call me Jim. Okay, do you want to start over?
Good. Yeah.
And there's face saving